It was named one of the lowest invest decisions of all period. 20 years ago on Tuesday, later Chancellor of the Treasury Gordon Tan told he was marketing tons of Britain's oil reserves. Anxiety was, his synchronization could hardly include been worst. It was the lower of O's couple-decade carry marketplace, says Adrian Ashes, CEO of study at invest company Bullion Vault. Retrospective view may be a beautiful item, but Mr. Ash points out down there were a lot of human beings precautionary versus the go at the period, consisting at the Banking of England. Among 1999 and 2002 the Exchequer sold out 401 tons of O, out of its 715-ton keeping, at an ordinary cost of $275 an ounce, generative on dollar for the time. Mr. Ash says the ordinary cost with the turnover ended has been nearly $1,000. In 2011 the cost achieved more than rather than $1,900 an ounce, and on Monday stood at on $1,279. In spite these title numbers, at the period it seemed excellently reasonable to lot at the Exchequer. Some centre banks were as well marketing O. Belgium, Canada and the Netherlands had already sold out 1,590 tons, among them with 1990. In 1997 Argentina and Australia sold out a combination 290 tons. And in April 1999, Switzerland elect in a plebiscite to cut off the francs O supporting, efficaciously appreciative a schedule to sale 1,300 tons of its 590-ton accumulate. Written in his 2007 volume The Ages of O, Timothy Verdant says, this soil erosion of the O cost for the deceased 1990s owed lot to stable, but inconsistent, centre banking marketing. But he adds, this definitive strike, this UK's selling shipped a horrible alarm to the marketplace. London had been the centre of the O marketplace for 300 years. The occasion of the UK selling spurred a faith how a contemporary economics no much longer necessary to conduct enormous O reserves, and reason how yet persists present. News story of the selling founded for a put issue in the building of House of Commons on a Friday afternoon in May 1999. How induced a 10% drop in the metal's cost. Revelations how the selling would be staggered via auctions telegraphed to the marketplace how the cost was potential to stay suppressed. It all gave the experience how for governments, keeping ingot as a keep of importance and helpful fence versus bloating was proper inappropriate. Says Mr. Ashes, centre banks mind they could supervise the planet by fine-tuning concern rates, switch a few dials. O's part as a finance supporting had reduced. In some speech, Fed backup President Alan Greenspan and the U.S. buck were the new supporting. This paper did cautious, although, how the could all changing if it turns out how centre bankers are not the geniuses they are now recognized to constitute. Down there was in late of millennium sense how a was story, says Mr. Ashes. Globalization was de-ordering the finance planet, the euro created a new, or, hoped for, much stronger, cash framework. Down there were telephone call for the World Cash Foundation to sail its O to assist compose off tertiary planet obligation. Individual investors had lose concern in the gem metal, preferring to assist gas the dot-com bladder. In the background Mr. Tan's judgment does not definitely see out of move. The cash grown of the O selling was put in holdings how received a back, ties and currencies. The selling of which was later recognized as a heritage property would do cash, not Mississippi it, on to the Exchequer. The treaty implicated 15 centre banks' promise to cap turnover above the next 5 years, ago intended to ensure clearness to the finance markets and put a story by the O cost. It was, says Mr. Ashes, a smack on the bracelet for the UK. Has down there been any steady effect? Rona O'Connell, Chief of Marketplace Analyse for Europe and Asia at World Finance Services Company International FC Stone, says no. She recalls the upheaval amongst the powerful ingot banks while the judgment was announced, but the subsided one day it was recognized how it was the Exchequer's judgment, not the Banking of England's. It was annoying at the period how the Banking of England transferred the can initially for a judgment done by the later Chancellor, she told. The discussion continues on the requirement for governments to conduct big reserves of O. Critics claim how store a preventive property whose importance would perhaps drop as you sold out it is partly aimless. It remnant anachronistic, they tell. But for Ms. O'Connell, independently of its cost on any day, O is adversely correlative in practically all some property classes, and of a center investment banker's spot of type it is essential in regulation of addition World Trust during the finance segment. Several countries, she cites Vietnam as a nice sample, include purchased O as safety for increase cash on the world finance markets in procedure to escape failure. Center banks purchased 145.5 tons of O above the January-March time, 68% more than rather than a year over. It accompanied purchases of 651.5 tons in 2018, the largest with 1967. Taking into account the strategy environment of center banking purchase, we wait the pulse to go on, the WGC's chief of marketplace intellect Alastair Hewitt told Addition how he anticipated center banks to buy 500 to 600 tons the year. Gordon Tan may include had lot legal reasons for marketing Britain's O, but claims it was since ingot was yesterday's property perhaps isn't one of them.